Before we start this show, just a word from our sponsor, 20 by 20 Apparel. Founded in 2015, 20 by 20 Apparel brings original tributes to pro wrestling's classic arenas, moments, and events. They look to spotlight the bloopers, bleeps, and body slams along with the biggest, smallest, strangest, and strongest that pro wrestling has had to offer. Along with their awesome line of pro wrestling apparel, they do offer many services. In the world of wrestling, there are hundreds of shirts, promotions, flyers, social media accounts, and ads. Don't get lost in the sea of parody shirts and display fonts. They can provide professional graphic design services at a reasonable price. 20 by 20 also hand screen prints all the tees in-house. If you would like to discuss possible run of tees, posters, koozies, foam fingers, or whatever, drop them a line. Go to 20 by 20 Apparel. That's the number 20x, the number 20 apparel.com. Now let's get to the show.
Fresh is the word.
I'm Jim Duggan, got long wood for plenty hoes. I keep it fresher than fresh, but you already know. You suckers bum me, I'm money, I got a ton of flows. My weed loud like a motherfucking thunder roll. Your shit quiet like you ballin' on a budget though. We see your kicks and we laugh and yellin' what are those? You see me shining like a suit on puffy. You know my grind and shit is too strong, buddy. That's why the dude call money. I be stuntin' like it's nothing at all, cause it's nothing to me. It's probably something to y'all. Trying to smoke like me, then come and fuck with your dog. Got a closet full of kicks, you can't cop it them all. And I'm fresher than the freshest, you can tell it's in my essence. Bitch, you see the way I'm rapping, yes I do this shit to death. I tell I'm running out of breath, I tell somebody cut a check. But either way you know it's fresh, and either way you know it's fresh. Fresh, we fresh. Fresh, 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 goddammit, we fresh. Fresh, fresh, goddammit, we so damn fresh.
Welcome to the Fresh is the Word podcast. I'm your host, Kelly K. Fresh Frazier. And on Fresh is the Word, we like to deliver wisdom through great stories from the minds of bright creatives of pop culture. Through those stories, we like to dissect the journey of our guests and present actionable lessons and advice for our listeners, no matter what career or avenue of artistry they pursue. And before we get into this episode, I want to give a shout out to Knox Money, Bang Belushi, and Foulmouth for the theme music for Fresh is the Word. And if you would like to support the podcast, you can always go to freshisthepodcast.com and just share any of the links for any of the episodes on any of your social media platforms. And also, you can subscribe to Fresh is the Word pretty much anywhere that podcasts are streamed. And that includes Apple Podcast, Spotify, Stitcher Radio, pretty much everywhere. And please rate and review, especially on Apple Podcasts. It will definitely help out the show. If you want to contact me, you can always reach me by email at djkfresh@gmail.com. Or you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at KFresh is the word, and on Facebook at facebook.com/KFresh. And you can also follow Fresh is the Word on Twitter at Fresh is the Word, and that's is with an IZ, Instagram at Fresh is the Word Podcast, and Facebook at facebook.com/Fresh is the Podcast. And this is episode 159. The guest for this episode is Nikki Misery, guitarist for the metal band New Year's Day, who dropped their latest album, Unbreakable, earlier this year. New Year's Day is currently on their own headlining tour and will be on select dates of the upcoming Godsmack tour in the U.S. in July and Hailstorm's European tour in November. During our interview, we talked about the making of the new album, the theatrics of the band, their connection to their fans, his upbringing in music, how he met lead singer Ash Costello and joining New Year's Day, the lessons he's learned being in the band, and much, much more. Before we get into this interview with Nikki Misery, definitely want to remind you how you can support Fresh is the Word. You can go to patreon.com/freshastheword, and as little as $1 per month, you can contribute to the work of me, K Fresh, and Fresh is the Word. And also, for $3 a month, you'll have access to the Patreon-only exclusive podcast episodes where I dig deep into my audio archives of interviews that I did outside the podcast from the past decade or so. and bring those to bring those to life again. Usually there were interviews I did for articles that I written, and some I didn't even use at all. I already have interviews up with Danny Brown, Cool Keith, 12th Planet, and Jay Dilla's mom, Ma Dukes. So go to patreon.com/freshastheword and sign up for one of the tiers. Some of the upper tiers, you can actually be a part of the podcast. So once again, go to patreon.com/freshastheword. All right, let's get on to the interview with Nikki Misery of the band New Year's Day. Thanks for taking the time out to do this interview with me.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for having me. Anytime anybody wants to talk to me, I'm down.
Cool. I've long been a fan of New Year's Day. The new album is really, really good. I really enjoyed it. What was sort of like the mood of the band going into making this new album?
The mood of the band was very positive. Like, New Year's Day hasn't been on such, like, I guess, a high or like such a good point, like internally and externally. And unlike Malevolence, which came from such like a dark, just awful point of our lives, like this album was like a lot more fun, like all the songs. We have like our little like darkness in the songs and our little angst, but like, oh man, like it was honestly like writing this album was a lot more like a party than it was like a therapy session.
Oh, nice. What do you attribute to sort of having like a better mood these days within the band?
Just everybody internally, like the spots we're in mentally, like we've been through so much together in this band, and pretty much like coming out with like even like the name of the song of the album, Unbreakable, like we couldn't have felt better. And I think it just really shows, and we actually got to spend a lot more time with the songs in the album and really like fell in love with what we were doing. And because just able to take our time and like, I don't know, it just didn't feel rushed. It didn't feel like a job. It didn't feel like someone was attacking you. Our team was completely supportive the whole time. Like, it was fucking awesome.
Yeah, it's been a few years since Malevolence came out, and
yeah,
you're talking about this, this sort of freedom creatively. What's personally for you, what did that, freedom mean to you when making this album?
Well, what freedom means is, I guess I don't know how to answer that. But the best way I could describe it is like when you hear songs like "Shut Up" and even like "Nocturnal," like they don't seem like it's from the same band, and like it was really fun just to take like these other musical genres and stuff that we really like at the same time. Because I mean, of course, we don't listen to just like rock and metal 24/7. Like, it was really cool just to take our time and have this freedom to just be inspired by other genres and mix it into like our style. So it's like eating this buffet and just vomiting out awesomeness.
Yeah, that was what was really cool about Unbreakable. It was that there was these hints of other genres. Like, there were some like electronic elements to it, sometimes a little bit more programmed, and it sounded really cool. What was the atmosphere like when guys were just experimenting with stuff? What was like sort of the feeling when you were just like, hey, screw it, let's just try some new stuff?
It was actually super fun. Like, of course, I always say this about writing an album. Like, if you're not like pulling your hair out and wanting to kill your friends, are you really writing an album? And of course, you have those moments, but like this one was a lot more fun. Like, even like "Shut Up" was done in like 20 minutes. That song just like came out and it was so cool. And like other songs, obviously, like they took longer, but like it was, I don't know, it's like Christmas morning. It's like playing with all these new toys, but it's like sonically just different, and it was just fun to dig into that.
When you kind of look back during your time with the band, like you said, there was so much shit that went on, during before the previous album, and it's kind of leveled off, and you have, sort of a breath of fresh air working on this new album. How did you grow as a person during the time with this album? I mean, with this band?
So much. especially with this band, like everything I've learned, everything I've experienced, like just the people I've met, the things I've seen, the places I've been. You know, like it really, like, it humbles you in a sense. It brings you back down. I mean, you know, every now and then, get a big head, start thinking you can conquer the world. Nothing could kill you. We are unbreakable. This band especially has gotten away, especially with like Ash and Frankie. Like all these people are just like the raddest people to be around, and it's like a family away from a family in a sense, and just growing with like your best friends, and I don't know, it's almost undescribable.
Yeah,
I'm like 6'2" now, so I'm definitely growing.
You'll be 7 foot soon.
Yeah, right. One more album, I'll be 7 foot, and then I'll be a basketball player.
You know, over the years, this band has grown so much in a ways where they have a special connection with your audience, with the fans. And Ash definitely has a special connection with her fans. You know, from your perspective, you know, what does all of that look like? You know, when you see your fans, you know, telling you guys what they mean, what the music means, what the band means to them.
It's a very surreal feeling, you know. It's crazy because, like, when you first get into music, it's about like the rebellion and like this angst. But then seeing this and hearing, you know, people come up and tell you that, and like, you know, how much your song means to them, you realize like that's what it's really about, and that's why I'm really here, and that's why I'm here on the stage, you know. Like bleeding on the stage for you guys to relate, and I don't know, man. Like it's one of the raddest things to hear that and to see that, and especially when you look out in the crowd and you see all these kids, like, you know, pretty much looking like Ash, or like wearing something that you would wear, and like, I don't know, it's very surreal. It's very surreal, and it's super rad, and like I'm starting to believe like that's what the dream is really all about. And, you know, like, I don't care about making all this money. I don't care about being a big rock star. Like, just seeing that is success to me, and I know I've done something good.
And when you're a part of a band that has that sort of effect on its audience, you know, it can be a lot of work for the band to, you know, stay connected to their fan base. You know, how do you sort of, you know, decompress and, you know, keep the engine firing? How do you keep the passion alive when you're in a band that, you know, it might take a lot of work to not only make music, perform music, but also to stay connected to your fan base?
That's actually pretty perfect, because like we have these moments, you know, because it is a lot of work, and at times it is a lot of stress, and like, you know, you want to just say like fuck it and quit everything, but then again, like you have. Like, then you start a tour, you have that first show, and you're looking at each other on stage, and like, fuck, this is awesome. This is what it's about. But as for, like, how do I decompress, I don't think I ever actually decompress. So I just keep going to the next phase. It's really like, there's no rest for the wicked. And it's just a constant moving. You just either, like, adapt or you fall off. But then again, if you fall off, we're always here to help each other back up.
How do you try to stay healthy when you're on tour?
So we actually, like, we do our best to, like, work out in the morning, you know. So we take our vitamins, you know, rather than going to the grocery store and buying a bunch of beer, we're buying vitamins now. So either we're getting old or we're getting smart.
Oh, it's so rock and roll.
Right? I think it was funny. The other day we were out, and I think I bought a bottle of vodka and some vitamin C and zinc. That was like my purchases. You know, I'm trying to stay youthful as long as possible.
That's crazy. When you're when you're doing these shows, when you're on stage, you know, you're seeing all these kids. They're just like you. They're just like Ash. You know, what's kind of going through your head? You know, what do you hope like those kids get out of, you know, a New Year's Day performance?
Shoot, I don't know. I never really thought of it like that. Because I know like when I go on stage, like this is like in a sense like my therapy. maybe I just want them to just see a kick-ass rock show, you know, like the way I always see things, like I'm just this kid from Santa Ana, California, you know, but like here I am on stage, like there's no difference between me and you in the audience, you know. There's no reason why you can't be up here doing this. You just gotta do it. And if they take anything away from the show, I don't know. I guess I don't know. It's a weird thing to think.
What sort of a kid were you, and when did you sort of get the music bug?
I remember it was they had the Faith No More video for Epic show up on MTV, and I was like, "What is this?" I remember it was so weird and so cool. Like it was gnarly. And I remember like just constantly being obsessed with it. And then I saw a Rancid video for Nihilism, and I was like, these dudes look insane. I want to be this. And then I just started getting more and more into punk rock, and I was a wild, bad kid when I was younger. But I was kind of glad like I got into all that trouble. Like I was constantly in and out of trouble when growing up, and I was glad I got that out the way in my teens rather than now. But yeah, I've constantly always been around music and that kind of angsty rebellion. And even when I'm 40, I'm probably going to be an angsty teenager still, which I don't know how that technically works, but somehow I'm going to make it happen.
Hey, always stay young.
I've always just, I don't know, like that punk rock attitude and that constant rebellion, and the soundtrack to rebellion has always been rock and roll in my heart. And to me, there's no other way. I think I was just born with it, and the music videos is the one that brought it to light.
What was your sort of like first step into the music industry?
Actually, probably joining New Year's Day. They were already established after My Dear, and when I joined, they were getting more into like this dark look and very theatrical, and I'm obviously all about that. So that started to be like my first real steps. I remember I was just working like a dead-end job. Actually, to be honest, I was working at a cheesecake factory down in Irvine, and kind of just like wasting my life away. And I was like, dude, I got to do something. I remember from then, like I moved to LA, I went to MI, and so that started to begin like my real steps. And then once I joined New Year's Day, I really started to get a taste of the industry.
What was sort of the process in you joining New Year's Day? You know, why did they hire you?
I met Ash at the shitty goth club in LA. And I was dragged there by this band I was in before, and she was dragged there because it was like, I guess, this label party thing. And we both in rebellion, like she dressed in all white to go to this goth club, and I dressed like this 1970s Pee Wee Herman nerd. Like I parted my hair, like I had like that flat greasy hair, these giant like nerdy glasses, this ruffled up shirt, and I remember she came up to me going, saying like, "You look like someone I need to know," and like we hit it off from there. And they used to come. We used to watch each other playing because once we found out about each other's bands, we went to check it out, and they fell in love with my explosive energy on stage. And when their guitar player left, I was the first one they asked, and I've been here ever since.
What was it like joining New Year's Day during a time when they were also on the come up and sort of in a transitional period also?
It was awesome, especially with the band I was in before. I mean, it wasn't like a real band. Like we weren't really doing anything, but it was cool to see like this engine running, and it just seemed like I just skipped a whole bunch of steps because like all of a sudden I was playing these sold out shows on these insane tours. And it was like, it's like it's pretty much just, you hit the floor running, and I haven't stopped running since. My legs aren't even tired, so I'm ready for more.
Yeah, during this journey with New Year's Day, you know, what's something that you've learned about yourself?
There ain't nothing that I can't do. You know, I'm still here, I'm still going. Every day in this band and being able to do what I do is more than I've ever dreamed of. growing up, and I learned that there's nothing that can stop you. As long as your heart's there, you're willing to work, ain't nothing gonna stop you.
If anybody listening to this podcast, doesn't matter what avenue of artistry that they're into, if there was sort of a lesson from your life that anybody could project into their own life, what would that be?
Just have this. I think just never make love with the eyes open. Fly American. Vote John Deere for president. No, I'm just kidding. That's all I could think of.
I love your sense of humor.
I swear I'm serious at times, but I'm not always.
No, but
shit, I already lost the question. What was the question again?
What's something that anybody listening to this interview, like a lesson that you've learned that could be transferable to anybody? Doesn't matter what sort of job or industry that they're in.
Oh, yeah, pretty much like the same thing I just said before. Like, honestly, there's nothing that could stop you from doing what you want to do and achieving your dreams. Like, there's nothing that can stop you. Like, I look at my life and I look at the things I've been through and the fact that I'm still here, still going. Like, the only wall you have in front of you is yourself, and you're the only person that's going to hold yourself back. So once you stop holding yourself back, man, there's a wide world out there that's ready for you. No one's going to make the history for you. You got to do it yourself.
Going back to like what I said, that you have a great sense of humor, how important is it to have a sense of humor in the music industry, to take things seriously, but then also not take everything seriously?
I don't know if humor is just a thing. I mean, that's just me, but I mean, at the same time, like, you always I don't know, just have a personality, have like some life to you. Like whenever you think of these larger than life beings, like if you would think of like David Bowie, I'm sure like talking to him, I'm sure he's got such an insane personality, whether it's humor or just like how in depth he could be. Like, I've always wanted to be someone you don't forget. And that's just my main thing.
How important is that in music to be a person that someone doesn't forget? Like, and if somebody who's just starting out in music, was listening to this, how important is it to be unforgettable?
It's very important. It's like, because this is what we do, like, yeah, and especially like for us, like if you're playing on a stage for 30 minutes, it's like you got to fight for these people's attention, and you want to be remembered, so they keep coming back for you. And that's like, I don't know, that's the thing. Especially like you can write all these great songs, but if you're like this dull, lifeless thing, it's like, who's going to want to take you on tour? Who's going to want to sponsor you and have you play their instruments? Like, you want to be an entity, You, especially in the entertainment industry, you don't want to be forgotten.
When you guys have been on all these tours with a wide array of bands, what's your guys' goal? You kind of mentioned it now, when you're on these support tours with, with these wider range of bands, what are you guys looking to accomplish?
To be honest, like personally, because I can only answer this for me, it's like the only thing I want to accomplish is just give a kick-ass rock and roll show. Like, I'm only up there for 30 minutes. Like, the fact that I get to do this is already a dream as it is. Like, I've already, like I hate asking for more, but like the only thing I want is just to give that 30 minutes on stage and get your attention and just make a new fan or see your head bang or see you sing the words. Like, that's all I care about, because that's what it comes down to, is that rock and roll show, that 30 minutes on stage. Yeah, you can listen to the album all you want, but I want to give you a reason to come back and see the devil in the flesh.
Nice, definitely. When it's all said and done, what do you hope, people look back and see, think of New Year's Day, and what do you hope your contribution to this is?
I never really think of that, to be honest. I don't think about looking back when, in the end, if anything, I don't know, just like the same thing, I guess. Just that was one kick-ass rock show. That's all I really care about. Just play good tunes and live a good-looking corpse.
Nice. And how much fun do you have with the theatrics of it all?
I mean, of course, I have so much fun doing that because that's my life, and I just don't know another way to play if I'm not just exploding firecracker up there. Like I pretty much I consider myself like I come alive on that stage and I die on that stage, and then when I'm off, it's like there we go. I'm a brand new me. I just don't know another way to be.
Yeah, there's a definite look with the band. How do you how does everybody sort of keep that coordinated and into a sort of a theme, but while being unique, while each member is still unique in their own way?
Like style and I hate to say, like style and pizzazz has always gone hand in hand with rock and roll. Like you look at these rock stars and these entertainers as like a fashion entity, and like whether like people want to admit it or not, like I never wanted to go up and see like bands look like they just rolled out of bed and put on their pajamas. I wanted to see David Bowie looking like an alien, or you got Marilyn Manson and all the prosthetics and stuff like that. Like it's almost as important as the music, because like that's what you're going to see, and how to keep it up. I never know how to keep it up. We just always been blessed with I guess a taste for style.
Nice. I always like to ask this question to kind of close out the interviews. And if you don't have an answer, that's cool. But who is somebody that you know or are aware of that I could realistically interview for this podcast? A recommendation of someone who would have some good stories or lessons to talk about.
Probably Joe Letts. Joe Letts used to drum for Combi Christ. He would have some great stories. That guy's a personality as it is. He's one of my favorite people in the world, and I could sit down and listen to him talk all day.
Nice. All right, man. It's been great talking with you. Where can people go online to get more information about New Year's Day, the new album Unbreakable, and anything else you guys are doing?
Yeah, you can check us out on all the social networks. New Year's Day, which is NYD Rock, or you can find us on our personals under at Ash Costello, at Nikki Misery, at Frankie Sill, and on iTunes New Year's Day, on the Spotify's New Year's Day, all the things New Year's Day or NYD Rock.
Once again, thanks for taking the time out to chat with me.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for having me.
All right, you have a good day. All right, that was my interview with Nikki Misery, guitarist of the metal band New Year's Day. Go cop their newest album, Unbreakable. It's out everywhere. There's more information about where you can follow Nikki Misery and New Year's Day in the show notes for this episode at freshasthepodcast.com. All right, thank you for listening once again. Goodbye and good night.
Fresh is the word.